So how many folks in here haven't been to one of these before? Okay, a few of us. So mostly what we'll do is get to some individual questions a little bit later. We'll go over a few sort of main things you need to know, but then we'll get to individual issues, and then of course you can get your pen, the main things. Main thing to be aware of, particularly if you haven't been to one of these before, there are a lot of resources online that'll assist with this. Not everyone's aware of this, but here on our page on the UNCW English site, which granted is a difficult thing to navigate, I usually just Google UNCW English. From here, if you go to undergraduate program and professional writing track, we do post our schedule for the upcoming years here on that page. So as you're going through your worksheet, you can plot out your progress. Now, occasionally we do have to make a couple of changes to these. It's rare, and when we do it, we try and make sure that any changes will count in like the same category on your worksheet. And generally they're ahead of time. It's not like we're going to make sweeping changes for the fall or anything like that. So do be aware that that's there, that 3-year essentially forecasted course schedule. The only caveat is summer. You'll notice we got summer 18, but we don't really know the summer ahead of time. We kind of can't. Summer's handled very differently, so we don't really know summer ahead of time. A couple other things. You might also not be aware of this, but it has course descriptions here as well. And you might think that that's just the catalog, but actually we write individual course descriptions. You can see it's individuated by semester. And then it actually goes into what's going to be covered in the class. This is more, this isn't just the catalog. This is what the instructor has written about the book and what you're going to cover. If you're not aware of that, you might want to take a look at that, because I often see students who are unsure about a class or what's going to go on in there. That's a good resource. So those are there. You've probably all seen your worksheets, correct? Has anyone not seen their worksheet? Just in case, most people we're kind of in a cusp place, but right now we're sort of between, if you're on the older catalog, which is pre-2016, if you came in before there, I think it's fall 2016, or if you came in after there. You just want to make sure you're using the correct one. It'll tell you on your degree audit, of course, what your catalog year is, and there should be synchronicity between what you see in your degree audit and your worksheet. If there are discrepancies there, you might check and just make sure you're looking at the right one. If there are still issues you don't know about, just contact your instructor, because quirky things happen. I think just yesterday, like someone had a class that wasn't tracking in the right category. Sometimes stuff like that pops up. You can always contact your instructor. Your advisor. You do have an individual advisor, of course, and you are free to meet with that person at any time. Just contact them and schedule an appointment. This is mostly to facilitate these kind of large-scale issues and handing out pins all at once. But you can still keep in close contact with your advisor, which I encourage you to do. Because even though you are ultimately responsible for your degree progress, that actually, by the bylaws is up to you, your advisor can really help you resolve questions of, I'm interested in this field, or is there anyone on campus who's looking at this kind of research or whatever, and we can help you with that kind of larger scale issue. I mean, most of my advising is talking to students about, like, occupational stuff, or I'm not sure if this major or minor would be more appropriate. Interestingly, the answer to that is it probably doesn't matter that much. Do what you'd like to do. You're probably not going to get in a situation where you've picked the wrong major and now your life is plotted. It usually doesn't work like that. Anyway, so the thumbnail sketches here and then the worksheets are here as well. I find these in some way easier to use than the degree audits, because it just sort of is a why not? It's just sort of a step-by-step. You can just kind of go through here and plot out. I should just let Chrome do it. plot out your progress here. So I find this a little bit easier to use, so do be aware that those are available. So that's the main stuff. There aren't, I don't think, any new courses. Sometimes, you know, we're rolling out new courses. I don't think there are any radically new ones next semester. You know, the senior seminar, the 496, that changes every semester. Do be aware, you can take the 496 before. It is the senior seminar, but you can take it before that as long as you've hit the prereq. Sometimes if there's a topic coming up that seems interesting to you, you might want to just take that, because you just have to take a senior seminar at some point, and there's no guarantee that any of the themes are going to repeat. That's just sort of whoever gets slotted in that course. So if you see one that's interesting, you know, usually I encourage people to latch onto it. Dr. Riley, you're doing our 496, I think, in the fall. What is that one about?
So I'm doing privacy and surveillance and security in electronic spaces, digital spaces, and that's really timely. Even I made that up before all of this stuff happened with Cambridge Analytica this week, but that's what we're going to be talking about, is how do you, as an individual, detect the degree to which you are being surveilled when you use electronic resources. How do you visualize that surveillance, and how do you, what are some of the ways in which you can reduce or obfuscate your data to make it less useful to people who are taking it and monetizing you for their own purposes. So that's what some of the things we're going to talk about. We do a lot of fun projects where we use online tools to show us what's happening, and it'll be super fun.
Yeah, so timely, as if taken from the headlines. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're dealing with the Facebook issue right now, although that's ever present. Who here has tape over the camera on their laptop? Right, yeah, I mean, it's there. Let's see what else. Also, we always encourage our majors to really strongly consider pursuing the certificate if you're not doing that already. For one good reason, courses double dip. I mean, the certificate is basically the courses you're taking anyway. The big difference between the certificate and the major is an internship is required for the certificate. It's not required for the major. So if you're a major and you're interested in a internship anyway, we always encourage people just to add the certificate. It's a separate degree, actually. It's not a minor. It's a separate degree that you get, or a separate credential that you get. And if you're interested in an internship, you know, you can basically just double dip your major and the certificate as you go along anyway. Yeah, Tom?
So besides the internship, how much does it add to your course load to get this certificate on top for professional writing?
It doesn't, I mean, it's essentially equivalent to a minor. It's 21 hours. Most minors are 18-ish, right, I think? It's 21 hours because it's 18 of coursework, which you're taking anyway, and then 3 hours of internship.
So a lot of the courses that you would take as a professional writing major would already count towards it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, basically all of them. I think all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
we made it a little, like, maybe, what did we do?
it's flexible enough that the things you have to take as a major anyway, and then the remaining is every other professional writing course. So we always do encourage our majors, you know, probably just to add it anyway. I mean, you're essentially kind of de facto getting it, particularly, you know, if you're interested in an internship anyway. Yeah.
So if you've already done an internship to the English department, then you add the certificate, would that?
It should count.
Cover it? So
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to declare. And that's the other thing. You don't get the certificate unless you declare. Sometimes we find people at the end of their academic career who've done all the work and are saying, I'm not getting this. Or sometimes after they've graduated. You do have to declare it. And there are steps for that here that I believe are still current. Because, again, it's not a minor. And so, you know, sometimes people look for it in minors. It's not there. You actually have to declare another degree, basically. Yeah, it's under add new degree. And Lance is our internship coordinator. We run those every semester, right? So.
Yeah. So this semester, I had a record number
Dr.
of
Cummings?
22 interns. So
Port City Beer Bus?
Brew bus, yeah. The
Brew Bus, yeah.
Port City Brew Bus. And what's that?
Yeah, how come we haven't gotten any?
That's after this is over.
So yeah, like interested business, science, nonprofit. Basically, you just have to be a junior or senior. You have to have a 2.5 GPA overall, over 3.0 in the major. At least 300 level writing courses, and you can take up to 6 credits of internship. So you can do 2 different internships if you get on it early enough, and of course one of those can fill your for the certificate. It also can fill the other writing requirement, so it doesn't have to be like just an extra thing. I think that's my spiel. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, and we always encourage, in fact, we were just talking about this in class. Maybe it was ours, Tom. That those kind of things that are outside of class, extracurricular things, are things alumni routinely point to as some of the most significant things they've done, right? Things that were outside of the classroom, things like internships, things like travel, which of course we also offer, the Wentworth Travel Fellows. We don't get a ton of those in professional writing. I'd like to see more people take advantage of that in professional writing. It's rare. I mean, if you're not familiar with that, our department sends people literally all over the world, basically for very little. You don't have to pay for anything, basically. You just have to write sort of an essay and then a reflective piece, a proposal sort of thing. More of the lit folks tend to get those. It'd be great if more of our people were able to take advantage of that. A couple other things to be aware of. So we've got the undergraduate certificate. If you're nearing the end of your academic career, you might consider a couple of things. First is our BA to MA program. If you're nearing the end but not quite there, you'd want to talk to Dr. Sweeney about this. But we do have some folks who are admitted to essentially picking up master's credit when they're near the end of their career. So you're sort of starting that when you're still an undergraduate, and then you have credits that you can move forward with your master's. We also have our own, if you finish up your undergrad, we have our own graduate certificate that Dr. Colleen Riley largely administers. Our first wave of students in this is next fall.
Well, actually, we have a couple this semester.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. Yeah. We had a couple people start this semester, and we have a student, you can get, if you get an MA in English from UNCW, you can get it with a concentration in science and medical writing. So we have our first graduate doing that. It won't be official on her transcript because the paperwork wasn't done yet, but we'll figure out a way to do that. But going forward, the paperwork has been done, and so you can get an MA in English with a concentration in science and medical writing. And Caroline DeVries, who's this graduate student, is right now working at New Hanover Regional Medical Center as an intern, and she's actually helping their medical residents and physicians write up their publications. And she's doing a lot more than copy editing. She's actually doing developmental writing with them. Her name's going to get on these papers that are being published as one of the authors. And so she's getting a lot of really excellent experience and really thinks it's something that she maybe wants to do going forward. Medical writers make quite a bit of money. Median salaries range anywhere from like 40 to 80,000. So it's a lucrative career. And so
Without the debt of medical school, which is considerable.
right. And she's been having a really good time of it. Like they're sending people to her all the time to work on her papers. So
Yeah. So that's those of us who are nearing the end of our career. I mean, those might be options if you're considering going to the workforce or if you're considering to do some other things. Do keep in contact with us and your advisor because there are probably some things we can at least direct you toward. That's mostly what we've got because I don't think we have anything overly new for the fall. We've been doing a lot of curricular changes, those of you who've been around for a while. No, things have, sort of gotten into a groove at this point. What individual questions did folks have for us since we're all here today? Yeah, ma'am.
So I'm trying to
Yeah, you'll be registering for summer. It is a good question. Summer and fall with the same PIN for this cycle. Yep. Yeah, and we do have our summer courses. This should be correct. Well, I mean, it's definitely correct on CNET, but I believe it's also been updated here. I believe so. Any other questions? I realize it's putting you on the spot. That's fine. If you do have individual questions, there's, I didn't even introduce the other faculty members. That's Dr. Tony Atkins back there, Dr. Honor Bonray, Dr. Lance Cummings, and Dr. Colleen Riley. We can answer any of your individual questions that you have. We also, of course, have your PIN numbers up here. So as I said, you still do have an individual advisor. Please, speak to that person if you have these kinds of questions. That's not bothering us. That's our job. And, one of the rewarding facets is seeing people get to do stuff they want to do and go on beyond and go from here to something that's larger than this. Okay, anything else right now? Okay, I'll pass these out. You can get a pin from any one of us. If you do have individual questions. Did I even introduce myself? I'm I'm Jeremy Terrell. Sorry, I forgot that too. If I'm your advisor, you can come talk to me. All right, thanks, folks.